Hello everyone, my name's Austin, I'm a recovered addict.
Hi Austin.
I cleaned up in Swindon. I walked into a meeting of Cocaine Anonymous, broken, busted, on the floor, shitting myself. Scared, out of my wits. And there was a man who'd read this chapter, working with others, and he was practicing it. He was the first person I ever spoke to about addiction who had stuff to say that made sense to me. I'm really grateful to that man that he was still here, that he was doing this stuff. It's like, Chris said, if Janelle hadn't, left you in the lurch, you might not be here. If that guy hadn't been here, I might not be here. He passed on the gift of the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous to me. He took me through the work. Going through that, 12-step starts, about having had a spiritual awakening. I began to have that. I went through the steps, and for the first time, where I wasn't using, where I was abstinent, I started to feel that, maybe I won't smoke crack again. Maybe I won't pick up another pipe. Maybe I found freedom from addiction, which by that time was what I was really looking for. I was looking for a way out of this stuff. And having that spiritual awakening, something happened to me. Doing the steps, something happened. I was changed. And we talk about this, it starts off in this chapter, where he says, practical experience shows that nothing will so much ensure immunity from drinking as intensive work with other alcoholics, or immunity from a crack pipe, working with other drug addicts. I was given that suggestion. He talks about this as our 12th suggestion. I was given that suggestion. You know what? See that new guy over there who's in the same state as you were? Go and talk to him. Go and see where he's at and go and see if you can help him. I took those as directions. I didn't know any better at the time, I just got through this stuff. We went through it fast. I love that about Cocaine Anonymous, I'm not here to tell anyone that you must go through the work really quickly. I'm going to tell you that you can. And there's a difference. And that's up to you. I've learned in doing this that everyone will do this at their own pace. Circumstances dictate. We're all different, but you can go through this work. But through that change, through going through the steps and having what it talks about the spiritual awakening, and being changed, I found that I couldn't do anything else. Something had happened to me where I couldn't walk away from someone else who's suffering from the same stuff that I suffer from. I'm not talking about my spiritual disease. I believe as humans we've all got that. I was ruined by my own selfishness and self-centeredness, as the book talks about. I really identify with that. What I was especially ruined by is that every time I cleaned up, I couldn't stop myself from picking up another crack pipe. My decision-making process, which worked in other areas of my life, didn't work in this one. That's what I've learned. I think that's really, for me, really important. I think it's just what the big book talks about is that, my job is to sit in Cocaine Anonymous and listen to new guys who come in here and who share some of their story and listen for the relapses, listen for the people who can't stop themselves from doing this again, who've tried as hard as they can to do that. Because I know from my own experiences that's soul-destroying. And on the flip side of that, man, I get to live in a lot of freedom. It's amazing. It talks about, that to watch people recover, to see them help others, to watch loneliness vanish, to see a fellowship grow up about you. Chris talked about that. We've had that experience. We've seen that here in Swindon. Watching a fellowship grow up amongst us. To have a host of friends, this is an experience you must not miss. We know that you will not want to miss it. Frequent contact with newcomers and with each other is the bright spot of our lives. And how true that is for me. Today, I've had a really lovely day. I've been out in sunshine with a friend from CA, knowing that I was coming here to see a load of people that I know as well, and to meet some new people, to be in this fellowship. It's exciting. that, it excites me. Chris is down from London. I haven't seen him for, a good few weeks, and that, getting the opportunity to see him and other friends here, this is part of it. This is what this stuff begins to promise me when I go through this work. So through the interaction, get this whole new world. So I was lonely in my using right at the end, you know what I mean? I'm behind closed doors, closed curtains, smoking crack pipe, shitting myself if anyone knocks on the door. I don't want to know. And then to come into this and for it to all open up. And I believe that in this there's a responsibility. The first guy I sponsored was a lump. My sponsor was the kind who was saying, he was giving me directions. It was quite intense at the time, and he's trying to, pass on to me, how I should work with this other guy. And I'm crapping myself because, it's just like, I can't tell this guy what to do. No chance. That's how it was. That's what I was introduced to. That was the kind of sponsorship I was given when I first got here. There was a much smaller group, and there was a lot of fear about, shit, if we don't get this right, it's going to fall apart. There was a lot of direction, not so much suggestion. That was right at the time. It talks about in working with others, that we walk with the new guy in the path of spiritual progress day by day. I like that, day by day. That was what someone was here doing for me, day by day. I've learned through time being here that's what's happened and what's changed. The more, because for me, a really important part of the 12 step is to go out and make mistakes. I mess up in my 12 step all the time. I'm prepared and willing through the support of the fellowship and other people and my relationship with a higher power to get back up and to keep going with that stuff. And what I've learned through that is that I know a lot less about this than I thought I did. Heck of a lot less. I've been blessed with a lot of relapses. Serious, man. How else am I going to learn this shit? I've got my own experience. I've got a ton of it. Well, I've been taught to be here for people who are relapsing, to really be interested in what's going on there, so that, a lot of those guys come back. I think that's so important about us being here, because I've watched, a lot of newcomers come back into these rooms and the same faces are here. That's so important. And through that process of working with people, I've softened a lot. I've learned more about love through the process of working with others than anywhere else in my life. Because I've had to. Because it was right for me to be given that kind of strong-arm sponsorship. I was in the right place for that, but I've learned it ain't right for a lot of other people. It really isn't, So my job is to feel for that. And the most important thing that I believe in Cocaine Anonymous that we have to do, and we're all responsible for this, is keep that door open. Because if it's closed when any one of us had turned up here, we wouldn't be here today. We just wouldn't, guys. You know what I mean? I suffer from a grave problem, I suffer from a terrifying sickness that brings me to a place where I don't even want to wake up. Don't know how many of you identify with that, Silent prayer at night. It's all right if I don't wake up. That's what I come in here with. That's what I have to remember that new guys are coming in here with. And this chapter gives me a lot of instruction about how I'm going to work with that. Get to know his background. Find out about the people that I'm working with. Find out about the people who are coming into CA. What are his religious leanings? Well, where did he grow up, So I've learned today when I meet someone, I used to be terrible for this. They come into the meeting, I listen to them, saying whatever, and then right after I'm on, I'm with a big book talking about what the sickness is. Just bang, 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 bang. Today I've learned it's much more helpful to go up and go, hello, what's your name? Where are you from? What's brought you here? To make a connection. That might sound obvious to a lot of you, but it wasn't me. And that's been an amazing experience to be part of this stuff. There is a lot in here. I'm sure You know, from going through the book today and the shares that you guys have listened to, a lot of talk about what it is that we suffer from. The alcoholic mentality, the thing that is, that, you know, takes me back out the door. The chapter working with others gets straight into that as well. Just in case I missed it, let's go back over this stuff. Shows me how, when I'm sitting down, you know, to get into that general conversation I talked about, and then to turn it at some time into, you know, let's start talking about our using and our drinking, and I'm listening. I'm listening for what these guys have got to say. I'm listening for, are they twisting? Are they like me? Is this guy twisting? Is this guy as hopeless as, you know, the alcoholics described in this big book? Because if he is, then I've got a responsibility to somehow help him understand that, because it talks about in there, that to not realise our predicament. Many are doomed who do not fully realise their predicament. How about that? If I don't understand what's wrong with me, if us alcoholics and addicts don't actually understand what's wrong with us, and we don't understand how dangerous our situation is, it's really easy to go, you know what, I feel all right, I'm all right now, I think. You know, thanks very much for the information, guys, see you later. My job is to disturb them. Seriously, you know, it talks about maybe you've disturbed them around the question of alcoholism. This is all to the good. And I'm delighted when it happens. Yeah, seriously, when I see someone go, oh, shit, yeah, this isn't about how I feel. This isn't about my childhood. Yeah. All that stuff's important. I'm not saying it's not. I know plenty of people who've recovered and need to heal in a lot of stuff. And I truly believe that if you don't, through the practice of steps 10 and 11, yeah, you're going out again. I think that the explanation in the big book of what alcoholism is what helps us keep our arses in these seats and carry on with the program. And what a beautiful thing, what an amazing thing. I'm really, really blessed to suffer from this condition that there is no answer for, there is no treating, yeah, and yet I'm free. Through some guys who got their shit together, wrote a book, started a fellowship, and started carrying the message to others with enthusiasm to make sure that we're here today. That's beautiful. Took courage as well. You know, and I think that's what's given to us, and that's part of the strength of the fellowship. There's loads of instructions in there. You know, I've had the experience recently. It talks about, you know, we seldom give a man shelter for long, and I've done that through really feeling for someone. You know what I mean? It's just like, man, okay, come and live with me, and then I actually seen what they're talking about. That after several months, I wasn't helping this person. I was actually enabling them. I was getting in the way of what they had to experience in this. And it's painful, yeah, to watch people relapse and go back out there and have to do what they got to do and not know if they're going to make it back into these rooms. Keep your fingers crossed, keep the door open and be available and be ready for that when they come back in. And when they do come back in, I learn more about love. It's amazing. It's amazing. Stay here, you get that. Yeah. I've had it just in the recent weeks. Again. I am fucking delighted about it. To get that experience, to be part of that. And it's right, let's go. Let's get back into this stuff. Let's get into this book. Let's see where it is you thought you had a power over relapse. Let's clear up the wreckage of your past. Let's look at this stuff. Let's walk together in the path of spiritual progress. Because that's what we're doing, yeah? And then hopefully you're going to turn around and do the same for another guy. You know? Thus we grow. Our fellowship, people getting freedom from addiction, being nailed to the floor by a substance that they cannot control. And that's beautiful, man. It really is. It talks about that. Our job is just to lay out the kit of spiritual tools in front of these people. It's not my job to tell you the guy I'm working with, to tell them how to run their recovery. So I'm saying that's what I learned. I was given that strong direction, and I've learned through doing this over and over and over. It's just like, you know, I just have to give these spiritual tools. You know, we go through it. You know, we get into that step 3 stuff, made a decision for a higher power to give me some direction. was only yesterday I had that experience a bit working with someone. I was just like, you know what? Have you asked God about this? Yeah, and that both brought us right back down to earth about what we're doing, this gift that we've been given. Because I spent all my life trying to work shit out in self-will. Sometimes that worked. A lot of times it doesn't. And it was really, it was lovely being involved in this. I'm able to say that to another person, and we both go, whoa, yeah, do you know what? Let's check this out with some prayer. Before we, make these decisions and go forward and doing this, yeah? Let's check in. Let's ask the universe, God, higher power, whatever you want to call it, another power, for some direction in this. Like we were taught to do in our third step. Let's get back to that. Pause for a moment. Talks about it in Into Action. Pause when agitated or doubtful. It's been the most helpful thing to me in my whole recovery. Because when I'm angry and pissed off or fearful, I want to sort the shit out. The answer is to actually stop, do nothing. It's like, wow, I hadn't thought of that one. It works. Amazing. So when I get into this with another person, we begin to learn this language, and it's okay to talk about that stuff with each other. That's cool. I love that. Yeah, we get to do the deal, man. I learned, there's a line in there, because we get into the meetings, and it's great, we should all share, everyone, shares their experience, we learn from each other. There's a lot of answers given out, there's a lot of opinions given out too. It says, see your man alone if possible. I love that. Let's me and you meet up somewhere and talk about this stuff with no interference from anyone else. No offence, guys. Just keep this one-on-one. Yeah? Let's get into that. Let's build that connection with each other around this stuff. This book's full of those little lines, man, that just catch you. So how did they get that in there? Where did they get that searing insight from? All I know is that in 1939, that happened. That's why I love that book. I read it. There's just new stuff coming up all the time. There's just insight after insight after insight. The editors were really good, man. That's the gift that was given to us. One of the earlier chapters it talks about an even greater service. It's talking about give this information that's in working with others and more about alcoholism to the new guy who comes in here who isn't beaten and ruined. Because maybe if they understand the alcoholic mentality, which it talks about extensively throughout the book, maybe they can see that there is no answer to what they suffer from, and then they'll take us up on this program of action that we've got that's been given to us, where we can go out and seek a higher power that can solve our problems for us. Isn't that what we're here? Isn't that the proposal? I can't help you. Sorry. I don't think anyone else can either from what you've explained to me. And if you identify with this book, you're screwed. But there is something that can help you. Yeah. I can't even describe it to you. But I can take you through these steps, and hopefully you'll have the same experience as me. I'll leave it there. Thanks, guys.